Hi guys, so we're back and we're ready to get back to our charts. We built something very simple up until now, which also, like in case of the table before, it's very long and it doesn't say that much when presented this way. And it gives us some information, but it's not really useful. And the thing about data science and data analysis is that you need to take the data that everyone can get, but put it in context and in visuals that make sense and give you instant information instead of just data that you need to put together in your head. So let's obviously start with git commit. So what I want to start with is changing the coloring of these bars. They look kind of fancy now, but they say nothing. And as I said, the most important thing is to make information easy to digest and so it's more significant. For now, it's just a nice rainbow, but it doesn't do anything. So what I did, and I already did it, because it would take a lot of time and no point for you to look at me putting those colors in here. So what I came up with is changing the country model to not only get the name and the ISO code, but also store some color. And I save it as a hex color, which we can then use for getting those colors in here. So they are consistent at least. We don't get the situation where in case where we have more countries, we get different color for a different country. We just want to have the same color for the same country. And so what I did here, I just went through all of those countries and I checked their flags and I just took one of the colors from the flag. The problem here is that most of the flags in Europe are either red, white or blue or have them in their flags. Some of the nice countries like Spain or Lithuania were nice enough to give me some yellow or green. But except for that, it's a lot of repetitive colors, but I changed the shading a bit, so we'll see how it looks. I didn't test it yet, so for now we just have the ISO code and the color in here. We just need to change it in the model, and then we need to change it in our create country function. So that's the country creator. And so then we update it with the colors. Okay, so this is what it was before. So we had the name and the ISO code. And now we're looking at the name, ISO code, and the color. Okay, so I'm gonna just delete this because we don't need that. Obviously, I'm not gonna leave you hanging here. This piece of code will be available in the description, so don't worry about that. So now we are looking at something slightly different. And also because I don't want to delete any entries from my database, I just want to update what we have. So I don't want to get the, delete all the countries and put them back together. And then because we have entries associated with those countries. So I just want to edit them actually. And what I'm gonna do, we don't have that many of them, so it's gonna be easy enough to just do one by one. We can do bulk update, or we can do update one by one. So I'm thinking now I'm gonna just bulk update all of them. That should be useful for you to know how to do it. So let's get cracking. Okay, so we are looking here for name and ISO code. So that's not ISO code, that's gonna be data. Because we are not only looking at the ISO code, but we're looking at two pieces of information. Okay, so that's correct. Okay, and then insert to append, and here is our ISO code, which is used by, let's go to country, which is used as a primary key. So we are sure that if we send it to the database, it's going to find it, and instead of creating a new one, it's going to update this entry. Okay, oops. Let's go here. So we have the ISO code now is data 0 because it's the first entry of this list. So we change this to data 0. Name is country name. And then we want to add also, and by the way, it's not there yet. So we're going to put the color in there in a second. Color is data 1. Okay, so we're getting this entry here. So it's going to be a string. So we can go to here and change, maybe put it in here. Color is models.char field. Max length should be no more than 10, I'll say. Should be unique. It doesn't have to be unique. Can be null. True, because well, we have some countries in there, so I just want to give it some default, and default will be, or maybe I can do default. Default, and let's make it, I don't know, hash select, make it black. 0000000. Okay, that's black. So we have something in there. Grand. Okay, so we have to do Python manage py make migrations. Okay, and then Python manage py migrate. Cool. Okay, so that's done. And now in here we can say color is data1, and then so bulk create here. I think we were looking for bulk update. So let's have a look at the documentation in Django. So bulk update takes, okay, so there is a model object bulk update. Then we put in the list of objects, and then we specify what fields to update. Okay, easy enough. One thing here is that we have, this is a create function, a create view. So what we can do is we can actually determine if this is a create or update in the same view. We don't want to put two views that do pretty much the same, but at the end one is creating and one is updating. But what we can do is in here we can say something like this: if request dot get, and let's call it, I don't know, update, and we can specify it as true. Okay, and then we're gonna do country dot objects dot bulk update, and then we put to insert. So these are all the entries that we want to update, and then we specify that we want to update the colors. Okay, color is the field. Okay, else we wanna create. Okay, and then we do the same thing as before. Okay, so what do I mean by update? Let's go here and go to air pollution slash temp. Oops. Okay guys, I got a little bit lost there, so let me just repeat. So what we have in here is this update, and obviously we need to make sure that updates exists in get, otherwise it's going to give us an error. So we need to do something like this: update, if update in request get. So we want to just copy this and request get update blah blah blah. This is basically get update or nothing, I suppose. We can do it this way: request dot get update, otherwise get nothing. So basically this is like if you have a dictionary and you use get, you're asking for update. If it doesn't exist, use this. Just take this as a value, okay? So it's not going to be true. And then we have this update, or we have this create. So let's have a look, or maybe I can put this breakpoint here, and then let's go to temp country creator. Not here, just here. And no, don't go there yet. And question mark update equals true. And this is how we pass the get queries or search, so some people call it. This is kind of like adding new parameters to your URL, to this route. Okay, so we say update needs to be true, and this is a string. Okay, and press enter, and we go here, and let's have a look at request get update true. See, so now it's gonna go to update, and it's gonna update our objects. That should be done. So if we go, so we're still kind of not finished with this view. So maybe let me just release it. And something happened here. Why is it telling me exception happened during the process? Debug. Okay, because we had two calls. Okay, sorry. Let me just refresh and do it again. Okay, and enter, release, or just continue, and then done. Okay, so that was done. We have the status 200, which means okay in HTTP. And let's have a look at our countries now. So let's go to countries, and let's say Turkey, and we have some color there, and we can check if that color matches Turkey, C827. Okay, so that was updated. We still have them the same way as we did before. So we have the same countries as we did before. So all the entries associated with those countries will be still there and associated with the right countries. We just have the colors with the countries. Cool. Okay. So that was one thing we had to do. Now we can go back to our air pollution view, and in air pollution get, so what we did in here was we post-processed this data for visuals. So we get, let's go here. I'm gonna get rid of this because I don't want to enter it again. Okay, so load again, please. It's loading. Okay, cool. So what we did in post-processing was basically just coming up with this coloring scheme. What I want to do now is I want to get those colors from countries and put them in to the background colors. Okay, so as you can see here, we're going through the pollutant data in visual data, and then we are looking at what's the length of all the data there. So we're looking at how many labels we have there, and then we split this range of colors between all those between that number. So we need to post-process it anyway, but in this case we can, instead of doing this RGB magic, we are gonna just get the colors. Maybe we can grab them in here as hex, and then having those hex colors, we're going to change them into the RGBA colors. Okay, so let's go back here and see what can we do to get the colors to the visuals data. For now, we're just gathering labels and data, and we add background and border after. What I want to do is I want to get maybe, maybe let's call it the background. Yeah, so we're going to call it background. So background, and it doesn't matter because we're going to get the hex. And hex is not useful just yet. We want to change it to RGBA. Although I'm thinking maybe we can use hex. Okay, so in here we have country list. Okay, so again, we need to change this to country because we need to get the colors from the country. We don't just need ISO code as before. That was all that mattered to us. Now we need a little bit more information from there. So again, like with pollutant before, that we just took the name. Now we are storing all the objects. Is the same with the country. And so again, let's highlight it and Control F and see. Okay, that's the country. That's fine. And then okay, ISO code. ISO code is our, well, I can do this. I suppose because it's a PK, it's our primary key. And let's go to models, and ISO code is our primary key. What I can do is I can just say, hey, country is country. I don't need to specify that we're looking at ISO code. We can just say, hey, country is this country, and that should work. So it's very similar as we as with the pollutants. Okay, delete this. Okay, and now we need to specify here that we're looking at ISO code because that's going to be a key of this dictionary. So it has to be a string. And then in here, append, and we are appending ISO code. Okay, so that should be also ISO code. Okay, cool. So, and then if total is not count, okay, so then this is where we get the visuals in here. That's cool. So let's add the colors as well. So visuals, data, pollutant, dot name of background, append, and we're gonna take country dot color. Okay, and that's gonna put this hex color in here, and then we can post-process it in here. And you know what, guys, I'm thinking now we don't really need to go into RGBA. We can use something that is it works similarly. And if you go hash and you have your color, so let's say black, that's the black color. So you go with 6 numbers or characters, because it could be letters as well, up to F. And so this is a color, and then you put alpha in here. So if I do 50, that's going to be, okay, quick break here. I was talking crazy. What I said in my original video is that if you add after 6 hex numbers that represent RGB, and if you add say 50, I said it's 50% alpha, which is wrong because we're still looking at hex. There is a good example here. So if you have RGBA, which is say 0, 255 and 0, and then half alpha, so half transparency, basically 0.5 transparency, then it translates into 0. That's 0. Then FF is maxed, so that's 255, then 0 again, and that's 50%. So it's in the middle between 0, 0 and FF. So when we're talking about hexadecimal, which uses 16 digits, 8 kind of makes sense. It's in the middle. So basically, if you want to do like 100%, then it's going to be FF. If you want a 0, 0, if you want a 0%, then it's 0, 0, and so on. So it's going to be hex in here. If you want to learn more, check this website here, csstricks.com, 8-digit hex codes, and it's a very useful website that explains it. Okay, so what I'm thinking here is instead of doing all this magic here, I can actually just go, let's see, yeah. So that can go completely, okay? And all I need to do, so border will be basically, well, okay, so that's going to be background. So let's just change it because I just like to be consistent. So the border is supposed to be solid, shouldn't be transparent at all. So we can just go and say, hey, just JSON these colors, these hex colors that we stored in here, okay, and their country color. I need something for background colors. So what I'm going to do is background is, and I'm going to do a list comprehension here, and I'm going to do something like this: color plus, and say 50 to make it like 50% transparent, for color in these guys. Oh, sorry. Yeah, these guys. Okay, so I take the borders, which are solid hex colors, and then I put it in here. Okay, so I can call it background colors. Okay, and now it should work. Why is it underlined? Expected list. Should be all right. Yeah, sometimes it doesn't show me exactly. Okay, so let's save this and see if it works. So let's go to our website and refresh. Okay, and now we need to wait a second for loading. And again, that's going to be fixed with Ajax. We're not going to wait for loading every time. And ta-da, we have our colors that we specified in here. So these colors are, let me just close this. So these colors now are associated with each of the countries. So let's have a look at Belgium. And Belgium is kind of blackish, grayish. And you can see that Belgium here is black. So what I did here is this is 50% of black color, and then around you have solid black color. So that seems to be working. Let's have a look at Poland. I went with pink because, as I told you before, everything is either white or black. White or red or blue. So I suppose, like, okay, at some point I just had to be more creative. And let's have a look at Poland, and it was indeed something. Maybe it's a bit easier to look at, say, green. Okay, in here, Ireland, and Ireland is you can see red, green. Green is the highest number, so that's 0, 0 is for red, so no red, a lot of green and a little bit of blue. That seems to be working in here. Okay, so this is working, and why it doesn't matter, because before we had this rainbowy nothing that told us nothing. Now if you scroll down and you're looking at, okay, I'm looking at Ireland, how is Ireland doing here? You automatically put your eyes on Ireland because it's green. I know those colors are a little bit repetitive, but I try to go with different colors so they are separated by different countries. So if I'm looking at this blue color here, which is Croatia, between this blue and this blue, I scroll down and I know that this is Croatia again, because it kind of pops a little bit more than it did before. It's the same. You can see the pattern. So I'm looking at Portugal here, and Portugal straight away, I can see that it's here because it's in the same pattern. So I think this is better. And we're getting somewhere. It's still very unfriendly in terms of like comparing data and looking at data. I think we can put all of those pollutants in one table and be able to kind of just like split them between and see what we get from it. Okay, so I'm gonna finish here. It took a while. I hope that this is useful, what I did. It's just a way of programmatically tell our visuals what to do and taking control over what is going on our visuals. So I think this is useful, and this is kind of permanent. Now we have it in our database. Our database is telling us what is the color of each of each country. Obviously, I mean, when it comes to coloring, I'm not an expert, so if you have a better idea, go for it. I kind of, as I said, I went through all the flags and I was like, okay, Ireland has green in it, so I'm going to go with green. Italy is just next to it and it also has green, but it also has red, so I'm going to go with red, and so on. So kind of, okay, here we have Netherlands, orange, and so on. So kind of, you know, somehow tells you something about the country, and at the same time, they are not, you know, blue next to blue. That's not going to happen. It's popping. So anyway, I'm going to finish here, and I'm going to see you in the next video where we go and put together something a bit more useful than what we have right now. Okay, thanks for watching, and see you in the next one.